to another episode of Closer Encounters. I am your host, Clarence Mitchell, coming to you live from somewhere in Minnesota. Would you like to be a guest on Closer Encounters? Or maybe you know someone that would like to be a guest on Closer Encounters. Or maybe you have a story to share. So please, shoot us an email, closerencounters.info@gmail.com. Again, that's closerencounters.info@gmail.com. For everything Closer Encounters, updates, all things going on, check us out, www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. Again, www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. And please don't forget to like, follow, and share. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Closer Encounters. Oh man, I'm telling you, what a time I've been having with this damn outfit. Unbelievable. You'll have to excuse me for the video content, the way it's looking. I know it's a little bit faded. I don't know, probably a little bit wider than normal. So on and so forth. Here I am an hour away from doing the show, and my phone that I'm using normally for my webcam, I couldn't get it to connect to the site like it should have. Everything just went wacky. Nothing wanted to talk to one another. Everything was out of sync, and it was just, man, what a pain in the butt. Let me tell you, technology just ain't worth it. So I'm sitting here just literally going crazy. And the last resort I had was to pull my old webcam that I had. That's as ancient as I am, probably. And I had to plug that into the computer and then download the driver for it and all that stuff and get that up and running so it actually works. So here we are. Unbelievable. So anyway, we have a way to get on. It's just, it's not going to look as good as it normally would with the other, with the phone and stuff. So I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with that. And, probably the app went down or who knows what. Nothing ever works the way it's supposed to anymore. All these apps that people make and this and that, and they crash and just, totally ridiculous, the technology. There are tons and tons of different apps you can use, and not a damn one of them are worth a damn. I tell you, it's just ridiculous, at any given time. So, unfortunately, that's the way it works. So, luckily, knock on wood, I happen to have this old one laying around and remembered I had it. So, so, there it is. I see Gail's with us. Hello, Gail. How are you, dear? Happy Valentine's Day to you. Yeah. I'm hoping we get a few more in. We do have a guest coming on tonight. If we can get him to connect with us, we'll see how that goes when the time comes. He'll be calling here in about another 20, 30 minutes or so. And we'll be hooking up with him. And so that's going to be good if we can get it to work right. But I got a couple ideas. We'll see what happens just in case. But yeah, what an ordeal. I just try to get in. So I'm hoping this is sounding okay. I'm using my Yeti Blue mic tonight. Normally it's on my big computer, and I had to switch it over to my other one because I don't have the setup on my big computer for my webcam and all that stuff. So I had to switch everything over real quick to this other computer. And so I didn't get to do the audio check that I normally would, but I'm hoping it's okay. So anyway, oh my goodness. So how has everybody been? I know it's been about a week or so since we've been on last. I've been going through a lot of things, doing a lot of studying. Gail says it sounds good. Thank you very much, Gail. All righty. But yeah, I've been checking in on, well, as you know, I came up with this theory that I got going on about the wormholes and the personal portals is like I want to call them. And I've been doing a lot more research and study into it and stuff. And, I came up with a few other things that, is pretty cool. Back in the ancient times, they had these certain areas that they claim had magical doorways and stuff, So I've been kind of looking into that a little bit and, trying to figure out how it all connects and stuff. And, I'm thinking I'm on the right track. It's just a matter of figuring out how it's actually being used or how it is used, how you can use it. And, if it's even a plausible thing, I mean, that's the whole key behind it. But the more and more I'm looking into it, I'm thinking that, it may wind up being quite an ordeal. Now, what I did do is I packaged it all up, so to speak, and I sent the one video I did, which wound up being kind of choppy. I guess, my cell phone was losing connection throughout the whole show, and I didn't even know it until I went back through and I was watching this particular video. But, it was what it was. And so anyway, I packaged it all up in a nice little package, and I sent it on over to Mr. Dolan, Richard Dolan there, for him to listen to. And, I just asked him politely if he would take the time to watch it and, gave him the rundown on the theory and stuff. And, if he would get back with me and let me know what his thoughts were and, see what he had to say about it. Well, that was quite a while ago now, and I've still yet to hear anything. So, it is what it is. Maybe he hasn't had time to read it or look at it, or maybe he's just put it off. I don't know. I can't really say for sure, but I'm hoping I get an answer back from him or something. But if you guys know anybody or have any ideas yourself that maybe you could put in, some kind of input or something, leave me a message. Let me know what you think, because I could use the help. Is it plausible? Does it sound feasible? What else do we need to, make this thing work or whatever? It'd be a kind of a cool study for everybody to get involved with. I have a whole bunch of different things that I downloaded on my other computer and stuff. And what I want to do here in the next, weeks coming up, I actually want to put together an actual kind of like a documentary slash video on how this thing's supposed to work and stuff, and kind of produce it and whatever, and see if I can't actually make like a good half hour to an hour movie out of it. Explaining the rundown and the different things, and how this might possibly work. So, keep your fingers crossed. If we can get that done, then possibly, I'll have it translated out and we'll put it into a book or something and put that on the market. Who knows, and or I'll get some paper wrote up and send it in or do whatever. But you never know. So hopefully, we can kind of bring that forward and see what happens with it. So yeah, that's but yeah, I could use all the help I can get. If anybody out there is interested, or have any ideas or anything like that, we can research things together or do whatever, and and see if we can get this figured out. So, who knows? Maybe I'm just kooky, Oh lordy. So, anywho, um, something else I was going to bring up. I was in the ancient alien room here a few days ago, and Matt Bowers had posted a post about the British disclosure. Apparently now, Britain wants to have full disclosure, and I got to thinking about it, and I made the comment that I wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak, because, well, we all know that Nick Pope himself was part of the Ministry of Defense there and stuff, and he worked for them. And, the biggest story that they have over there is the Rendlesham Forest story, which was about, American Air Force base that was stationed there, and the UFO that came down in the woods. And, there was a couple incidents, it was December 24th and I think the 25th, both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day Eve, or whatever. But, they had a couple other, like two pair of different people that had gone out and seen this thing, and one pair went out and they did tape recordings of themselves as they were walking around it and touching it and doing whatever. The one guy did touch it, and he got this download of information, of course, that wound up being so-called binary code. And, they had it decoded later on and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's about the biggest story they have there, other than the fact, they do have Stonehenge and a lot of ancient sites and stuff like that around the area. And, of course, crop circles and all this other stuff, too, right there in their backyard. So, there's a lot of that stuff that goes on there. Now, the ATIP program, of course, was the same thing that we had here in the United States. And, we don't know how many governments were involved in that, or if it was just ours or what. But I got a feeling the more and more I think about it and the more I kind of look into it, that this is going to be one of these deals where Nick Pope is going to be kind of behind it, maybe the spokesperson for the Brits, or something, for this disclosure thing to happen. I don't know. Are they jumping on board? Are they going to come right out and say, yes, aliens are real and here's your proof and blah, blah, blah? Or are they just going to do what the U.S. did and say we were investigating this stuff and, here it is, So it's going to be something to see. I'd love to see disclosure, but I just don't see it happen. I really don't, regardless of who wants to give it or whatever. All these countries across the globe, if they really wanted to disclose it, they could at any time. Anybody can at any time. And so far, nothing, and they all know what's going on here in the U.S. with our so-called disclosure movement and all this stuff, and nothing's happening. Hell, even right now, Tom DeLonge and the To the Stars Academy and Lorenzo and all them guys, they're all hushed up. You don't hear one freaking word about them. Nothing's going on. Everything's quiet, and there's no updates. Not a word from anybody. So here again. So I just I think it's just a waste of time. They're just blowing a lot of smoke, and we just happen to be in the way. So anywho, that's just my thought on that. I don't mean to rant about it too much, but I got to bring it out and just say it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I could be talking out my butt, but I hope it does, but I highly doubt it. I just think it's going to be another one of them deals. Crazy stuff. Which reminds me, talking about Nick Pope and all that reminds me of the History Channel, being that he's their spokesperson. History Channel now, as you know, they got Ancient Aliens running on Saturday nights, real late in the evening. 9-10 o'clock. For us people out here. And before that, they got the unidentified or not the unidentified, the unexplained or whatever with what the hell is his name? Shatner. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Shatner as the guy. So they put that ahead of Ancient Aliens. Okay, so that's coming on before Ancient Aliens. And then in between that, they got Project Blue Book. So they got Ancient Aliens way in the background now for some reason. It's the last show being shown, on Saturday nights and stuff, with the other two being ahead of it. So are they phasing out Ancient Aliens? I don't know. But what's kind of ironic is this year there is a history con. All right. Don't ask me what the whole ordeal is, but the way I understand it is the Ancient Alien team's going to be there, and all these other people. Now, is it just about Ancient Aliens? I don't think so. I think it's about every show they do on history, but don't quote me on that. But there is a history con coming up, and actually it's, I think, coming up here real quick in April. And that's out in, I believe, in California. There's someplace. I'd have to pull up the advertisement for it, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of ironic. I'm like, okay, we had Alien Con and we got all this other stuff going on, and then now we got History Con. So yeah, really something. So yeah, they have an agenda, and they're pushing on it, for whatever deal. Yeah, I see Omar's with us. Hello, Omar. Watchers Talk. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our guest tonight. We're going to be with Omar. And like I said, we had a special guest coming on. And so, he's going to be with us. Omar, if you're listening, if you want to call in, go ahead and try it. I do have the Hangouts here booted up. Now, I don't know how this is going to work as far as the YouTube. I may have to spin the camera around and point it at it so we can actually see him or whatever. But, we'll play it by ear. We'll see what's happening here. But I'm hoping that it never does. Yeah. So, but, yeah. Pretty cool. Don't worry, I will just be audio. Well, hey, that's fine too. If you want to do it that way, it's up to you. But I'm ready whenever you are. I do have it. I do have it up, and so anytime you want to call in, feel free, my friend. And here we go. Let's see here. Okay, I have to open it with Internet Explorer. Can you believe that? It just popped up because it's older technology. Wow, this is something. Okay. Wow. Okay, Microsoft settings. I have to enable it. Use recommended. Hang on, Omar. I'm sorry. I don't know. Wow, this is something. Let me enable. Okay. Uh Email. Well, I got to re-sign in now. Why is that when I'm already signed in? So let me X out of this other one and let me re-sign in again. Now they decide that it was outdated. Oh, I'm telling you, never fails. Okay, got to enter my password. Hit next, and let's see what happens. Video call ended. Install the plugin. Run. Free to install. You'll enter the video as soon as the plugin installs. Blah, blah, blah. On your marks. What? Are you kidding me? Hang on, buddy. I'm coming. Connecting. Downloading. 12 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. Download complete. Okay. Installing. Installation complete. Okay. Alrighty. So he says use Chrome. Well, I couldn't use Chrome. Actually, I'm on Chrome. So go ahead. Try to call me again. Let's see if this thing's going to connect now. I can't believe this. Unbelievable. Why didn't it do that when I first booted it up? I don't get it. So unbelievable. Oh my goodness. See, this is how it is. I tell you. Like I said, nothing works anymore. No apps work. Everything is just wacky. Uh, it's just crazy what they've done to our internet and stuff in the past year. It's just totally ridiculous. I got friends of mine that I talk to a lot on YouTube and stuff. They have their own channels. Some of them are big channels too, and they're on OBS and different other streams and stuff, and they can't keep connected because the internet. They got 200, 500 gigs of RAM and stuff. And they can't stay connected. Uh, Says we can use Skype. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Let me see if I got mine open. Let me open mine up here. Hang on. Let me. Okay. There's the thing for it. So let me open it and give me just a moment. Oh, let's see here. Enter password. It's blocked because somebody used it too many times and had the wrong password. Wow. Ain't that just nice? Wow. Well, I'm not going to be able to open that up now. Ha. I wonder what the hell happened there. Somebody hacked my Skype account? Well, this is when it gets dangerous, yeah. Exactly. How about Messenger? LOL. Well, we can do that too. Let me open up my Facebook. That I know works, so let me do that. We can do that. And I am on now as we speak. Okay. I tell you what, unbelievable. We will get you here, buddy, one way or the other. As soon as it loads all the way up, we'll be okay. Wow, I tell you, this is just crazy. Yeah, you can't win for losing. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is. You know. Okay. Okay. And there is Omar. Are you live? Yes, we are live. Okay. Shall I call you? I'll call you. We'll see what happens here. And it's raining. Video chat ended. Now he's calling. Okay. If it'll connect to you, we'll be all set. Hello, Omar. Can you hear me, sir? Omar? For some reason, nope, call ended. Huh. Yeah, go ahead. You can try to call me again. That'll work. Oh, I love it. A hundred different ways to connect to people, and we can't get connected. Okay, answer. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Well, what in the world? Well, let's see what the hell's going on here. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? He's talking, but it's not coming through. Well, why is that? What in the world is going on here? Hello. I tell you, I gotta love this stuff. This is crazy. What on earth is going on here? Hello, hello. Oh man, oh man, oh man. All right, hang on here. Let me see what the heck is going. Wow. This is crazy. What on earth? Let's see here. Control panel. Hardware and sound. Sound. Hello, hello. Let's see. That's not working. Settings for media devices. Oh man. Huh. uh, I tell you what. Okay, I tell you what. Let me hang on here just a second, Omar. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Hang on. Let me. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me log out of this one. I'll just get right off this one altogether, and let me log in here on the other computer. That's what we will do. Then I know we'll hook you up. Hello, Sharon. How are you, dear? Aren't we having fun? Okay. Hang on here. Let me open up this one. I'll get you on the big screen here. We'll put you up on the. Let's see here. Ah, my goodness. What the hell is going on here? Wow. Everything is messed up. You know why? I think I know why it is. I just happened to think about this. Unbelievable. And there we are. We got it. Yeah, indeed. There it is. Wow. I'm telling you, folks, unbelievable. Okay, buddy, now you can call me. We got you now. We got you now. Now we got you. I see you. Listen to that noise. Ain't that nice? Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes, I can. Oh, he can't hear me now.
Can you hear me, sir? That's a.
Oh, we're back. We're back feeding some reason.
That's a negative. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. What in the world?
Hello.
Hello. Ain't this something?
So.
Wow. Okay, I'll tell you what, Omar. Let me
Aloha.
hang on. I'll do something different. I got one more option here. I got one more option. Oh my goodness. We got one more option. Hang on. I tell you, folks, we're batting 100. We are batting 100. One way or the other, we're going to get this. Ain't this something? I bet he hears me now. Look at this thing. This thing goes like wildfire. Here we go. Dinga.
Can you hear me, Clarence?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, there you are, right on. I had my fingers crossed there for a second.
Okay, hang on here just a sec. I got to do something here. I got For some reason, I'm getting a feedback on there. I'm getting an echo, and I don't know why.
It's probably me because
Oh, okay.
You're coming through my speaker here.
Gotcha. Okay.
And let me see if I can find some headphones.
Okay. Can everybody hear him okay on the microphone? Can everybody hear him? Somebody in the chat there want to give me a shout real quick? Let me know. Oh, ain't this something? I appreciate everybody being here too. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. It's awesome to see you. Gail says yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Thank you.
Okay, so how's that?
That is good. Thank you, sir.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, it was my speaker because you're on my main speaker kind of deal.
Sure.
And that's where the echo is coming from.
Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this keyboard out of the way here real quick. And then I'm going to slide you right underneath the microphone so everybody can get a really good listen to you. I don't lose half my stuff here. There we go. Much better. So say hello, sir.
So what's up, Clarence? I've been waiting all week to talk to you, bro.
Oh, I know, right? I know.
Man, for sure.
It's like we've been missing each other back and forth. You know, I see you had messaged me, so I messaged you back, and then back and forth. Mr. Kevin there was telling me that you were looking for me, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been trying to get a hold of him, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah, we're just playing messenger tag.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how it goes. So
yeah, man. Yeah. I sent you what was it last week? I sent you like a 58-page memo.
Yes.
On what I wanted to discuss with you.
Yes.
And then I just waited, and then I tried to contact you a few times through the week, but like you said, we're just hit and miss back and forth. But it's all good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thanks for having me on your show, man. I appreciate the time.
Oh, not a problem.
And the platform. I got my own. I could do it on my own, but it's not as much fun.
Right.
Right. It's better to have a intelligent dialogue rather than just a one way for me. Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of don't like that. That's why I've always done just interviews, right?
Yep.
I'm not really good at that solo stuff.
I go either way, so it's okay with me.
Yeah, you're pretty versatile. So but we've done tons of shows. We've done, we did the Econautical, we did the Sheeping Planet.
Yes.
We've done quite a lot here in the last couple of years.
Sure have. Well, we had that 4-day marathon.
Yeah. Which one was that? That was the Sheeping Planet.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. That one was like a really good one. We had 16 speakers,
something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. That's why I just keep coming back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We click, and we always have a good conversation, and that's always fun.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Good times. Good times. I was going back through some of the archives. I put one of our videos up for a watch party here not long ago, about the Anunnaki and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And, and then I put it on YouTube, and I cut it down for just the Anunnaki part, so people get the gist about what we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many years we've been on. How many videos we've done over the years and different radio talk shows. And it was like, my gosh, I can't believe it's been this this long. But
yeah, it sure piles up, eh?
It sure does, quickly too. Yeah. Very quickly.
And we're pretty persistent too.
Yes.
Tonight was a good example, just jumping from back and forth from one to another to another to another.
Exactly. Yeah. Always something.
So, I'm glad you mentioned the Anunnaki, because I was thinking about this a bit earlier, as to our discussion here tonight, and it seems to me that it's a bit relevant to the Anunnaki. As they may be involved in this. You know me, right? I don't really believe that that we were, created, but if we were genetically manipulated, then yeah, I can buy into that. But the whole thing about being created is just too grandiose for me.
Right. Well, there was a guy, and I can't think what the heck his name is now. And I'm going back a number of years now. He came up with this hypothesis that aliens came down after all the animals were made, and they started monkeying with the DNA with the chimpanzees or the apes, the great apes, I guess, or whatever. And that's how man got spawned, was through the ape gene. And he made a claim, and this goes on into Bigfoot and stuff like this, that he made the claim the reason why when people look for Bigfoot now and they find human hairs is because it's part of our DNA, because of the ape DNA that was in our background back when aliens came and they created man out of the DNA, from the great ape. So whether or not that's true, we may be distant cousins to the Yeti, Sasquatch. So,
yeah, that again, that seems to be like a spin off of the old Darwin theory, right?
Right.
And evolution,
Yep.
and then jumping into this, new age thinking of genetically being created. It's the same spin off, but there's a lot of evidence that goes to show that humans, in fact, may not even be from this planet.
Right.
Right. So there's a big kink in that in that theory. When you look around, the humans, they're not really adapted to this planet. We're just adapted just enough to survive, and really beyond that, we're pretty vulnerable. Our food is pretty limited as to the things that we can eat, and drinking part, we're quite limited as to what we can drink. There's a lot of disease on this planet that we're quite vulnerable to, and it has killed millions upon millions upon millions in history. Tuberculosis alone killed millions of people. The Spanish influenza, and then it just goes on and on and on, right?
Spotted fever.
We're pretty vulnerable on this planet.
Yeah.
We have joint problems, we have back problems, we have bone problems, we have skin problems, all due to gravity and the sun's radiation. So we may be that we're from the Orion Nebula, or we're maybe from Pleiades. So all these theories about being created from monkeys, I just simply don't buy into that, because who's to say that this bipedal humanoid skeletal frame that we have isn't universal, right? So from planet to planet, features may change a little bit because of the food and the environment and the air that they may be breathing. So it's going to differ from from planet to planet, maybe from solar system to solar system. So yeah, when we land here, we've slowly adapted to this world, and and that's kind of where I sit with this whole creation, human creation, because I don't think that these aliens are powerful enough, or even smart enough to create something like the human body, because you look at it, it's just a marvel of engineering. Replenishes itself, it cleans it, it heals itself. It's a pretty complex piece of machinery. So to give ET like all the credit, I'm just not cool with that, because we give them all the credit about everything. Right? ET built the pyramids, ET built Stonehenge, ET built the Great Wall.
Right.
ET built fucking everything, man. Just Jesus. Right. Why don't we just take credit and saying, okay, well, we don't understand it, so we're just not going to give credit somewhere where it's not due. And then to even think that something created us, again, falls into bondage, falls into slavery. You're in servitude, to these beings, and we're free beings. We're born free. We're going to die free, and we shouldn't be in any sort of bondage or slavery of any sort. So to think that we're created by some higher intelligence than us is just an insult to the human species in general. because we're free people.
Yeah. So where do you actually think we come from, though? Do you think we come from the primordial ooze, or from the great deeps of the ocean, or
No, I think we're off planet. I think we're off planet, and we came here,
Mm-hmm.
Several 100,000 years ago, maybe even a few million years ago,
Mm-hmm.
colonized this world, colonized Mars. And, along the way, there's some sort of war happened,
Mm-hmm.
and Mars was lost, and Earth got thrown into the Ice Age.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just kind of just crawling out of that Ice Age just recently.
Still,
and trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
where we are in this, in this world, where we are in history.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to figure out our place. Like everything that we see that's built on this planet is built by humans, right? We were quite advanced. There's a lot of literature that points in that direction, that we were very, very advanced. And and also you have to keep in mind, like, the 7 group races, and it goes back to the Atlanteans, and it goes prior to that. So humanity's been around for millions and millions of years. Like, Klaus Donna has discovered artifacts that are like 350 million years old, 500 million years old, that are obviously engineered by some sort of human intelligence. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm suggesting that that would be us. And these people, they've given us this Kakama story of this, dinosaurs going extinct 65 million years ago.
I don't believe that.
The moon was formed, and they don't know, man. They're just running off of like these theories and trying to pass them off as facts.
Right.
When there's ancient literature that's obviously telling us something different, like Indian literature, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's that one called? The Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Right. The Ramayanas. They talk in great detail of floating cities, and
Right.
weapons, of energy weapons, and levitating things. And look at even the architecture that's there and around the world. It obviously proves that it would be humans that did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, with the Damanas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I try not to give ET credit.
Well,
they don't mean us well. Especially the ones that we're currently engaged with,
mm-hmm.
and have been engaged with for the last 10 to 15,000 years.
Right.
Clarence, I think what's happened is when this recent ice age ended, perhaps it was even by help from ET to heat up our planet so that we come out
mm-hmm.
from underground. And when we came out from underground, we were down there for several hundred generations. Right? It's just not we went down there for a few years and came back out. We're talking like a few hundred generations that spent time there. Like who is it in Central America? The Anasazi, is it, that talk about the ant people?
Yep.
That took them underground, and there they stayed for an extended period of time.
Yep, that's right.
So when we came out from it, or perhaps even were coerced or forced to come out from the underground to above ground, at that time, I think what happened is that this archonic force that's in the solar system began abducting our women. Mm-hmm. And when they began abducting our women, they began genetically modifying their eggs. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. In order to conquer a species, you would begin with a woman and her eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So when they began genetically modifying those eggs, they did, tweaked a little thing here and a little thing there. And what they did is they took our reptilian part of our brain, the oldest part of our brain, and grew it a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying? To keep us in that perpetual state of fear of not having enough flight or fight type of deal. And when when you look at abductions, they're saying that 70 to 80% of abductees are women, and these women are reporting medical experiments and stuff being done on them, that they're have babies up there and kind of what have you. We're all quite familiar with that type of stuff, but
mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that when this ET, this archonic force, they grew reptilian brain, and then thus it took away space from other parts of the brain, like telepathy, for instance, because in the Bible it kind of talks about it.
Yeah.
When it's the Tower of Babel, when everyone spoke the same language. It's not the same spoken language that everyone speaks, because every tribe has a different language. The single language that they're talking about was telepathy. Like the Tower of Babel was just like a reference to, or like a metaphor to a connection between all people on the earth. So
Right.
you and I could have a telepathic communication, conversation.
Mhm.
And when this ET came in, it destroyed that part of our brain and that part of our lifestyle, the way we lived, and
Sure.
they cut that, they severed that, so that we lost our telepathic ability and went to spoken language, and spoken language caused confusion amongst all the tribes, amongst all of the people, neighbors, for
Right.
instance, what have you. And then if you have a brain that's slightly grown, that's responding straight to fear, the flight and fight, and you can't have enough, so you go around, you start creating war and pillaging, and it's all, this is also that we vibrate at a lower density, and we give off a very dense energy,
Mhm.
which this archonic force is feeding off of, right? And that's the false perception that we're playing out here today,
Right.
because that's just carried on. Human sacrifice, that's kind of falls into very low dense energy that these beings are feeding off of, and it's quite more complex than that. They brought the moon in. We have the Akkadians, who in their literature are telling us that there was a time when there was no moon in the sky.
Right.
And, these people, they brought the moon in, put it exactly in orbit where they need it. And what that moon is doing is it's transmitting a frequency which is being picked up from Saturn. And the Saturn frequency, which is being emitted through its artificial moons, like Mimas
Mhm.
and Iapetus. And, there's a number of other moons. And they're transmitting this frequency towards our moon, and our moon is transmitting that frequency towards Earth. And if you continue to transmit, if you expose us to a certain frequency, it's going to keep us in that certain stage. You know what I'm saying? That really tense stage, as humanity really is. We're really tense, right? We're always worried about who's going to attack us. We have to build walls to protect our forts. We have to, build walls to protect our cities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, this moon, that's what it's doing. And I bet you if we got rid of the moon, our problems would really be solved here on the planet, because of the energy and the frequency that it's emitting us. I'll give you an example. A few years ago on the show Ancient Aliens, I talked about it briefly, but I went and looked up at it, and then it's quite interesting, where they had these mice, and they had them in a maze. And they gave them cheese, and these mice were going around. They were quite content,
Right.
and they would find their way through. They'd find the cheese, they'd eat it, and when these scientists began emitting a certain frequency, they wouldn't say which frequency, thankfully.
Yeah.
They began emitting this frequency to these mice, and these mice went crazy. They got confused. They lost their way in the maze. They didn't know where they were. They began climbing over walls, and then when they did get to their cheese, they began fighting with each other, biting each other's ears off, attacking one another. And suddenly, when the scientists removed the frequency from them, they went back to their normal behavior. So what I'm saying is that the same thing is happening with our moon. Our moon is emitting this frequency that's causing us to be in this state that we're in. Right, that's connected with our, with our reptilian brain, that's causing us to be in this perpetual state of fear and of not having enough. Where we want to hoard food, we want to hoard clothes, we want to hoard money, we want to hoard wealth, we want to hoard metals. It just goes on and on and on. It just more and more and more, can't have enough. Right. So that's kind of the false perception, the false reality of, like, when people are saying that this is a false perception, that's exactly what they're talking about, of what I just kind of explained, excluding the Saturn. That's kind of my, own thinking
thing
there.
That's cool. Well, I was just thinking when you were talking about that with the thing, I was thinking about the Black Knight satellite, which no one ever talks about anymore. It's kind of a dead subject, but if that is what it is, then
the Black Knight is emitting, picking up the signal, and just
tossing it
directing
back down.
it.
Yeah, very well could be. It makes one wonder, because no one's ever really explained what that satellite is, and because it's such a weird orbit that it actually is running backwards compared to everything else. but no one's ever talked about it. No one's ever really dug into it. So
I think
you
Billy
know,
Carson has a book or a documentary coming out here pretty soon. In probably in just like the next couple few months. I seen a post by him a couple of months ago, and I shared it on my page.
oh, okay,
So it's on there somewhere. That he was working on a documentary about the Black Knight satellite.
cool.
And also, I think there's another a talk show host. I forgot his name now. I think he's with Earth Ancient or Ancient Earth. I forgot his name now, but he's written a book on the Black Knight satellite as well. And you're right, the subject isn't talked about; it's kept pretty quiet.
Yeah,
And I'm glad it is because a lot of people can come up with like some pretty wild theories, right? Like I just did.
well, yeah.
Right? So
Like mine, like mine with the
blow out
super
of
hole.
hand, right? Blow out of proportion and lose like really all science to it and philosophy to it, really.
Well, but you know what? We got to do something, Omar. And it's like I've been stating on a few of my shows here lately that I am so tired of this old school ufology that we've been following all this time. Even those people, and I'm talking people like Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe, Nick Pope, Corey. Well, I don't want to mention Corey Goody, but Greer and Dave Wilcox and all them guys are all like little robots anymore. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
and they like follow each other. And whoever's cracking the whip, like the History Channel, is the way they jump. And so this is the information we're being led to believe now. And the old school UFO stuff is almost over with, and a lot of stuff has gotten buried, and it's just totally ridiculous, and I'm trying to dredge it back up. I'm trying to breathe more life into it again, so to speak. It's just sad. I find it so sad.
I think what they did was they just overdid it. And like I was saying, just too many people came out and too many people came up with theories and kind of what have you. So it kind of like watered down
it did.
The topic in itself. And I wouldn't be too surprised, Clarence, if it was like deliberately done that way.
Well,
and and a lot of these people that had UFO stuff going on weren't in fact like government agents or whatever that created this frenzy to get off of to really water down the subject.
Yeah. And well, see, and this is what I was saying about the disclosure thing. Now Britain wants to, go full disclosure. So we're going to see what happens there. But I honestly believe that this whole disclosure movement is exactly it. It's just a snow screen to get people lined up ready for the next big thing. And obviously, of course, it hasn't happened, so we forget about the other things that were already going on and are still going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing.
Disclosure is kind of like when a politician tells you he's going to lower taxes. Right? It's not going to happen.
Right.
Right?
It sounds good.
Tell you he's going to fix Medicare.
Yeah.
And he's going to lower the debt.
Right.
Right. And that's always what they say. And and this disclosure is kind of the same thing.
Yep.
It's just dangling carrots in front of people's faces and giving them tidbits here and there, kind of like that UFO video that CNN put out or whatever it was last year.
Yep.
The video from 13 years ago, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It's that ET. It's not even around anymore. If you're going to share a disclosure, you want to show a UFO event that took place yesterday.
Exactly.
A UFO event that took place this morning. These guys are, they can find murders and stuff in some pretty, offbeat neighborhoods, around the world. Yet, you got like a million, UFO sites happening every single day around the world, and these guys can't report on that, and they want to report something from 13 years ago.
Exactly.
it's garbage.
Yeah.
These guys, they're just dangling carrots and lying to us, and people are just gullible, and they're just buying into it. It's kind of what my opinion is. Yeah, sure, I believe in UFOs, I believe in aliens, I believe in all of that.
Yes.
But not according to what I'm seeing and hearing on Facebook. I found out the other day that ET has a Facebook account.
Oh,
right? And through the Facebook account, it gives messages to everyone on Facebook.
Now, why would somebody do that?
Well, it's a species.
Come on.
His name is Ashtar or Ishtar or something, and it's I saw that, and to me, that's like the really pinnacle of destroying and watering down ET subject and ET topic to so that people begin to just ignore it. And
that reminds me of J-Rod. Remember that?
I don't know what it is. It looks like a
You remember J-Rod? Actually, there was two of them. Two different J-Rods, both aliens. One of them, he was captured and taken by the U.S. government, and they had that video out on it. And he was doing an interview, and he lost his breath, and these guys would come rushing in. I just seen a video the other night there on another show they were showing, and they came in with flashlights and tried to get him to breathe, and that was one of the J-Rod's aliens, but yeah, but Ashtar isn't actually kind of a biblical name. That's I'm trying to think what that goes back to now. When you said that, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Ashtar is
isn't that like a female god or something? Or oh my gosh,
Ashtar is in the Quran. In the Quran, Ashtar is known as Mother Mary.
Mother Mary, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
And in fact, in the Quran, she's the only woman that is spoken of and named.
Yes.
There's no people that are named in the Quran, and she's the only person that's actually named.
Right.
Or only woman that's named in the Quran, Ashtar. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you. We've kind of been talking about our topic here tonight. The problem is, Clarence, with us is that we're stuck in this loop, right? Of this daily
Fruit Loop. Yeah.
kind of like being in a toilet, right? Like after you took care of business, and and that's kind of what it feels like, right? We're stuck in this incredible loop that we don't even understand, and in fact we champion it. And
something.
And I want to talk about that, right? And I found out here in Canada, I began looking at the Constitution of Canada and the Bill of Rights. We have two Bills of Rights. One is in 1982. When Canada became a sovereign country, right, outside the grips of Britain, of the royal family there. And then we have the Bill of Rights from 1867, from when Canada was created, right?
Wow.
When it was created, it was just a couple of provinces, right? It was like Ontario, Quebec. It was known as Upper Canada and Lower Canada, and there was a couple of maritime provinces in there too. I think like New Brunswick and Nova Scotia.
Right.
Don't quote me on it, but it's kind of how it is. And along the way, the other provinces to the west, they began to join the Confederation. And eventually, I think the last signing was like in 1940s or something, where British Columbia and Alberta became part of Canada.
Wow. Cool.
So when they became part of Canada, they had to adopt Canada's constitution, right, which was of 1867, and that stands even up until today. But the reason the 1982 one is different is because at that time, the Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, he went to the Queen and said that they wanted their own Bill of Rights and wanted to be a sovereign country. Because up until then, we were just a Commonwealth colony.
Right.
We were a territory,
right.
rather than being an actual country. So in 1982, when the Queen signed off on Canada's Bill of Rights, which the government came up with and the Senate came up with, and they had all their debates and kind of what have you, and then they formed it and went before the Queen and have her sign off on it. And at that time, Canada became a sovereign nation. Right, it became a sovereign country. It's, of course, it still had the influences of colonialism,
right.
and the British Imperial Empire, and it still is to this day. And I'll explain to you how it's administered here in Canada. Now, our Bill of Rights here in Canada and the Constitution of the United States is quite similar. Right, there's just a couple of things that are different. Like in Canada or in the United States, I think what it is, the Amendment Fourth Right, your right to bear arms. Is that the fourth or the second? Something like that. But anyways, we don't have that.
Yeah, no, right.
Right, we're not allowed carrying guns up here. Right, it's a taboo. But good thing the Americans do, because it's a good thing.
Right.
So. Anyways, our constitutions are similar, and also the constitutions of Great Britain, France, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, Japan, right? All these places, India, Pakistan, all these places where, old Britain was, with the Hudson's Bay Company or the old India Company, that was part of the colony.
Mm-hmm.
So they all have the similar type of constitution right across the world. Now, in the Constitution, there are designations, right?
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets fun, right? Because this is when we're stripped of our human rights. How they say, people say we're slaves, we're born slaves, and we're going to die slaves. They just can't be any truer than this, Clarence. It's pretty bizarre. It made me really mad, actually. So I'm trying to change my language and when I speak to keep that in mind.
Okay.
Now what's happening is that when you're born, right, you're given a birth certificate, which is a registration of a legal person, right, which is given to you, and then the second paper is live birth. And that live birth document isn't given to your parents. The doctor keeps that, right? Now, that's by design, and I'll explain to you why in a little bit.
Okay.
Now, that registration that you got, that registration number, you became a juridical person, right? Which is an artificial person. Right, you're created on paper. You have a paper trail. You're given, certain rights and privileges, and they're very limited. And you can't exercise any rights because you're not a living person, right? You are a juridical person, an artificial person that's been created on paper. So that document is what they use against you, throughout your entire life.
Well, if you don't have it, you're nobody. That's for sure. I mean, you can't even get an actual ID unless you have your birth certificate.
Yeah, they've made it like this.
Yeah.
Right. They've made it this way because they want to keep you a person. Right. They want to keep you an artificial person. So you'll notice that when you get any documents that come from the government, your name is always written in uppercase letters,
right,
which is how corporations are named, right? Because essentially you're a corporation. They're not looking at you as you're a living human being. To them, on paper, you're a person, right? And then when they when they acknowledge you, they'll normally call you a person or persons, right? They won't acknowledge you. That's your designation that you have, is of a person. Now, I'll give you an example again of a citizen. People are proud to be citizens, right? Like proud to be an American citizen, right? Proud to be a Canadian citizen,
Right.
Proud to be an Australian citizen, right? Now, I tell you, we really shouldn't be proud of that designation, because a citizen, now here in Canada, right now I'm thinking that in the United States it may be similar, but for Canada it's a little bit different, because in Canada we're in service to the Crown, Her Majesty, right? Everything belongs to Her Majesty, right? The police belongs to Her Majesty, the hospitals belong to Her Majesty, the government is Her Majesty.
Yeah.
And when you take an oath, you're taking an oath to Her Majesty rather than to Canada. Now, when you're born into the country, you're automatically became a citizen, right? You're a Canadian citizen because you're born in Canada. And what that citizen designation is that you are in servitude, right? You are in service to the Crown, to the Queen, to Her Majesty. Now, as a citizen, you have a duty and an obligation to the Queen and to her heirs, right? That would be Prince Charles,
Right.
Prince William, and so on and so on. In case she died, you take an oath to her and her heirs. Now, a citizen, when you moved into, say, Canada, right, you spend 5-6 years here, and then you become a citizen, right? You go and you lift your hand, and you take an oath. Now, you're not taking an oath to Canada, you're taking an oath to the Queen.
Okay. Right.
Right. What you're acknowledging is that, yes, I'm in service to the Queen. I'm dutiful to the Queen. Queen is my supreme Lord. I bow to the Queen, and I'm her servant. And so I am in servitude to the Queen. That's what a citizen is. An American citizen is the same thing, but only in America, you're a citizen to the Constitution, right? Constitution, America is the Constitution.
Right.
Without the Constitution, there is no America.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Because America doesn't have any sort of acknowledged royalty, the citizenship falls under the category of the Constitution.
Yeah, that's what makes us a republic.
That's right. So and thus you become in servitude to the Constitution, right? The Constitution is your supreme law, your supreme Lord, and you bow to the Constitution. So, and thus you're in service to it, right? You owe an obligation, right? That's what citizen is. You have an obligation to such and such. In Canada, it would be to the Crown. United States, it would be to the Constitution, and other countries, if it's royal, whatever, right? So on and so on. You get what I'm saying, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, in the Canadian Constitution, it's written in a number of ways. In one way, it says that every citizen has the right to vote, right? Now, why doesn't it say everyone has the right to vote? Or every person has the right to vote? Why is it a citizen? Because a person is not legit. A person is someone who's created on paper, and it's just a juridical person that's a corporation, an entity that's given certain limited rights and responsibilities and privileges.
Well, what makes you a citizen of Canada? I mean,
you take an oath to the Queen.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You lift your hand and you put it on the Bible, because the Queen says that God gave her Canada. So under the authority of God, she claimed Canada. So because the King James Bible and the New Testament is her holy Bible, her holy literature, you put your hand on it and you swear an oath to the Queen, right? You say that you're going to be allegiance to the Queen, you'll serve the Queen, and she's your, supreme monarch. You know what I'm saying? That you take an allegiance to the Queen. So now you're in duty to her. You're in servitude to her.
Huh.
And that's how you become a citizen.
Wow.
United States is the same thing. United States, when you come from outside the country, you go into that ceremony, you lift your hand, and you take an allegiance to the Constitution.
To the United States of America, not to the president, though, but to the United States of America.
That's right.
In
To
other
the
words, you
Constitution.
belong to the country. You belong to the, yeah, yeah.
Right. You're giving your allegiances to the Constitution. As I said earlier, without the Constitution, there's no America.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So America is the Constitution. So when you lift your hand and you're becoming a citizen, you're taking an oath to uphold that Constitution.
Right.
Right. So you're in servitude to that Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now you're in bondage to that Constitution because you can't work outside of it.
Right. Yeah.
You understand? And Canada is the same way, where you can't work outside of the Queen. The Queen, you're in service to her. You're her slave, essentially. And in the United States, you're a slave to the Constitution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as we are a slave to the Queen.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I understand what you're saying. But as far as like the U.S. and that, we broke away from the Queen. That's where we come from. So we were no different than Canada when we first got here.
Yeah, I understand that. And at that time, everyone that was a citizen here that called themselves an American citizen, when the English
the colonies
were in control here, they were subjects of the Queen.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And when you guys broke away from there, what was that, like 1763?
Well, yeah, because we got our independence. Yeah, because we had our independence in 76. 1776 was our great independence.
Yeah, that's when you guys broke away from the crown,
right,
and became a republic.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then since that time, everyone who has become an American has taken an allegiance to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're in service to the Constitution, right? Not to the American people or not to the American country, but to the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Whatever the Constitution says is what you have to do.
Right.
Right. Just like a slave master, whatever he tells you, you have to do. Same thing in Canada. Whatever the Queen says, you have to do, even though she's not in control here. But she seems to have this power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as well, in Canada's Constitution, there's a third designation at play here. And the third designation is called everyone. Right. So we're got a designation of a person, then we have a designation of a citizen, then we have a designation of everyone.
Wow.
So if we take the word everyone and work it under the capacity of a human being, then that everyone begins to make sense in the Constitution, right? Like everyone has the right to life and liberty.
Right.
Right? Why is it not saying that every citizen has the right to life and liberty, or every person has the right to life and liberty, right? It just says everyone has the right to life and liberty, right? So that's excluding the citizen, because the citizen is only given certain rights, certain responsibilities and privileges that the Queen has given them, given to her subjects, but they don't have all privileges, right? A person is not recognized as a living person. So because they are a juridical person, an artificial person, that person is limited to rights and privileges as well. Everyone, under the capacity of a human being, that's what it would fall under, has the right to life and liberty.
Right. Okay.
Right. Now, I was thinking earlier, these people, they play these word games on us, right? Like, for instance, person, citizen, everyone. Right now, what we need to do is that we need to understand these designations, Clarence, and come to recognize as to how the system and these people view us. Mm-hmm. Because as I just explained, they're not viewing us as living beings because they're responding to us as persons. Right? So when they respond to us as persons, they're acknowledging that you're not a living person and that you're only limited to certain rights, and that's it. And then on the other hand, when I see people, they're saying, I'm an American citizen or I'm a Canadian citizen, I have rights. Now it begins to make a lot of sense as to how the government and why the government is not responding to that, because the people themselves are acknowledging that they are citizens. And when you're a citizen, you're in servitude. And when you're in servitude, you have no rights. A slave has no rights. So that's why the government is not responding and giving you your basic fundamental human rights, because you're claiming that you're a citizen, and by law, which they run by, because if you go to them, they'll always quote you their legislations and their laws, right?
Right.
Well, the law says this, and there's a legislation that says this and this and that, and you can't do this under subsection paragraph 30.
Yeah.
B paragraph 10. Go read it and familiarize yourself with it and don't come back. This is what they do to us, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what we need to do is that we need to turn this language against them. We need to start understanding what we are and how these people recognize this. Now, the Constitution of Canada, in the Constitution, it recognizes other rights that are not part of the Constitution, but acknowledged by the Constitution. Now, in the International Covenant of Economic and Cultural Rights, in there, which Canada is a signatory to, as well, the United States is a signatory to, and there's several other countries that are I think there's like 90 countries that have signed on to it. And also, within the Constitution of Canada, the Declaration of Human Rights is also recognized as part of the Canada's Constitution.
Wow.
So when the Constitution was amended in 1982, those two declarations, the Declaration of Human Rights and the Covenant of the Economic and Cultural Rights, were included within Canada's Constitution. So now all countries that belong to the Commonwealth, which is like 23 or 25 countries, their constitutions also recognize these covenants and declarations. Now, the United States, I'm not sure if they recognize the covenants, but I know they recognize and they're a signatory to the Human Rights Declaration.
Right.
Now, in the Human Rights Declaration, it continues to mention human, 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 human. It never says person, it never says citizen, and it never says everyone. It continues to always say human. Now, in Canada...
I didn't know that.
In Canada, the Bill of Rights, our fourth right is the right to association. Now, what that association, what that right is giving us is what it's saying is that we have the right to associate as a person if we want, and no one can force us to play that designation which has been appointed to us as a juridical person. Part of that right gives us the right that we don't have to play or accept the designation of a citizen. So as your fundamental human right and as part of your fundamental Canadian right, you have the right to association, because when you're a citizen and when you're a person, you belong to one of the Queen's political parties. And one of the Queen's political parties is always the one that's ruling one province or the federal government at one time or another.
Yeah, it's like us with the Republicans or the Democrats,
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
got the Senate and the House of Representatives or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Canada has the same thing. We have a legislative assembly.
Yeah.
We have the Senate, and we have the member of Parliament, and on and on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now part of the fourth right of freedom to association, you can choose to either designate yourself as a citizen or a person, but you don't have to. You can exercise the right of being a human being. And the government has to acknowledge that, because the government's hands are bound by the Constitution of Canada of 1982 and also of 1867, and also the covenants, which is a signatory to, and also to the Declaration of Human Rights, that if you choose to exercise your right as to the freedom of association, and you say, I'm not speaking as a person and I'm not speaking as a citizen, I'm speaking as a human being. Now, the trick here, they trick you, these people, right? Because when you go to, file for your driver's license or, a piece of ID or any form that you go to sign, it always asks you, are you a Canadian citizen? Are you an American citizen? Yes or no? It doesn't give you the choice of not exercising your third right of being everyone or being a human.
Right. Right.
You understand? So when you
Sure.
when you flick that off and you say, yes, I'm a Canadian citizen, and you sign that, at that time, what you've done is that you've removed yourself from your fourth right of freedom of association and have said, okay, I'm playing the designation of a citizen. And the minute you do that, you're stripped of your basic rights.
Yeah, but they don't give you the other option.
That's by trick.
Yeah, see, and that's the same way it is here in the States, because every form you fill out, the first question they ask you, other than age and gender and your name, is, are you an American citizen?
That's
now,
right.
it doesn't say, I mean, it does give you other options. If you want to break it down into like Native American or, Hispanic American or whatever, it does give you that. But, but even then, some of those have to claim American citizenship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they force your hand in for you to designate yourself as a citizen.
Right.
Because on paper, you're already a legal person.
Yeah.
Right? So you're a person and a citizen. So you're very limited to your rights. That's why you don't have any human rights.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they'll evict you in the middle of winter and throw you and your family out on the street because they don't recognize you as a human being. They'll come into your house because you missed a mortgage payment, and they'll forfeit your house and take your house and throw you out on the street.
Oh, absolutely.
It's because on paper, you're a person.
Yeah.
You're a corporation. They're not seeing you as a human being.
Right. Right.
But if you exercise that right and saying, I'm exercising my right as a human being, then the government is obligated to hear you because their hands are tied to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? So now let's say if you got 1 million people that suddenly come out and they say, well, you know what? I'm not a citizen because I'm not in bondage, because one of the human rights, the fundamental human rights in the Declaration of Human Rights, it says no human being shall be held in servitude.
Right.
And to be a citizen, you are in servitude. You're in bondage to the crown.
Well, see, we got that movement here. We got people that are in sovereign.
Well, they're not in sovereign, first of all. They need to be designated as human beings because by law, they are recognized as human beings, persons, or citizens, or individuals.
But they're claiming sovereignty, if you know what I'm saying.
Well,
so they can get away with certain things. But our law, doesn't recognize it.
At the end, though, Clarence, their wordplay is going to come back on them because then they're going to say, "Well, you're sovereign. It's not recognized in any declaration or in any constitution."
Yeah, and that's what happens. It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly what happens.
So the wordplay has to change. These people need to change their name from like sovereign to human, right? Because the minute you change your designation, it's bizarre, Clarence. It's absolutely bizarre. The minute you change your designation, things change. You suddenly have rights, and suddenly you don't have any rights.
Yeah, but if you're in a nation, okay, now, and this is the thing that really gets me. Excuse me. Yeah. Even though you bought land, of course, you never own anything you ever really buy anyway. But, you got a chunk of land that you live on or do whatever. And, let's say you want to claim yourself as something different. You know what I'm saying? You're still in the territory of the United States. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So unless you want to move outside the boundaries someplace, you're still under their law. I mean, there's no getting away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, man. That's why, I was saying that I'm not sure about the United States because you guys are, not part of the crown, right?
Right.
But, Canada is part of the crown, and part of the Constitution, it says that, as a human, you have the right to enjoy your land and the resources of your land prior to the Queen, becoming in charge of Canada.
Yeah, but the Queen owns all the land and the rights to the land in Canada.
Actually, the Queen seized.
Yeah.
The Queen seized the land in Canada and then began, kind of essentially leasing the territory off the natives.
Right.
Because the natives, the bands, they get a certain amount of funding and certain amount of money from the federal government, and that's every single band and every single reserve right across Canada. Right. So to me, that's kind of like a payoff, right? An ongoing payoff since like 1867. And imagine the amount of money that they've given the natives since 1867, right? In Canada, when you're a recognized native, when you turn 18, the government gives you like $100,000, $200,000 a piece of land on the reservation, and free education and kind of what have you. So, to me, the Queen is kind of leasing the land off of the Aboriginal people.
Wow.
Right? And it recognizes in the Constitution that the laws and the rights that existed before there was a Canada are in effect even after there is a Canada. Right? And that's
Wow.
I think that's like a preamble to the Constitution.
Right.
It's in the documents that I sent you. I sent you like 58 pages of this research, and I've got it marked out quite well, where it tells you that when you play the designation of a human being, and when the government recognizes that designation of a human being, then you can exercise your rights that you have through the international treaties that Canada is a signatory to. So if it says in the Declaration of Human Rights that you have the right to education for free, at some point, the Canadian government has to make available resources to provide you with that basic necessity of free education.
Right.
Right? Because it's part of your right to self-liberty, to self-governing, so that, you can be educated and have the ignorance lifted, and that you can get a higher paying job.
Man, oh man.
You know what I'm saying, Clarence?
Yeah,
we need to stop saying that we're citizens, right? Because the minute you say you're a citizen, you're saying that you're in bondage.
I actually pulled your file up. I was going to see if I couldn't find that one part here. I was going through. Man, I forget how many there are on here. Oh, my God. Fundamental Freedoms, Constitution Act 1982, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Canadian Bill of Rights, 1960. Yeah. I don't remember where I read that at.
Which one were you looking for? Maybe I can help you.
With the, well, we were just talking about where the Queen owns the property, or the,
it's probably in one of those diagrams, possibly.
Each party, the state parties, the president company undertake to guarantee that the rights including to present convenient exercise without discrimination of any kind as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Yeah, okay. Man, you guys have got, this is unbelievable. Well, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just looking at these other articles here that are in this. It reads a whole lot different than ours, for sure.
See, in my document here that I sent you, it says Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, a person is a juridical person, a legal person. We have everyone, and it's limited. So a person is stripped of human rights and is controlled by regulations. Right? Regulations are the legislations that the governments pass, right? That the laws that they pass, and we become subject to those because we don't have a choice, because we're playing the designation of a person, right? Or even a citizen. Right, Black's Law Dictionary, a person who either by birth or naturalization is a member of a political community owing allegiances to the community by being entitled to enjoy all its civil rights and freedoms protections. Right, so a citizen is a subject of the Queen and owes allegiances to the Queen. When you say citizen, what you are referring to is the subject of the Queen, someone who has pledged allegiances to the Queen's political party and the monarchy itself, someone who is saying, you are my ruler and I will follow you, I am serving you. All the benefits and that the citizen gets is given to them by the Queen through her government, but in turn you are considered to be a servant, and therefore you are in servitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
You guys are slaves, dude.
Absolutely,
I hate to say it that way, but that's what it sounds like. I mean,
absolutely, man.
yeah, that's exactly what it's saying. You're an actual slave to the queen.
Yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
what I was telling you. Like
Wow.
we're they've taken outside. They say no, slavery is not legal, but yet when we recognize ourselves to be citizens, we're automatically we you know put ourselves into the designation of a slave
Yeah.
with ignorance because we don't understand these designations that they've entitled us with, right? As a person or as a citizen or as an individual. So we, continue to run around, be proud of being a slave because we say, oh, I'm a proud Canadian citizen and I have rights.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you really do your homework and understand what a citizen is, you'll understand that you actually don't have any rights. And they can stomp on you and they can treat you like a piece of shit. They can do whatever to you they want because under law, you're not a person, right? You're not a living being, right? Even though
Right.
you're looking at them, but like I said earlier, these people come at you with legislations and laws, right? You do something, they tell you, okay, well, this legislation says this, right? That's a regulation by which you are in servitude with and you're being controlled by.
Well, this one here, this is the Parliament of Canada. It says the Parliament of Canada affirming that the Canadian nation is founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, the
Yeah,
dignity
and
and
that God would be Jesus Christ.
the dignity and worth of the human person and the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions, affirming also that men and institutions remain free only when freedom is founded upon respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law. And being
Yeah,
desirous of ensuring these principles and the human rights and fundamental freedoms derived from them in a Bill of Rights, which shall have respect of Parliament for its constitutional authority, big bold letters, and which shall ensure the protection of these rights and freedoms in Canada. Therefore, Her Majesty, by and with the advice of the Constance of the State of the House of Commons of Canada, enacts as follows. And it goes on down through and gives the whole thing. Wow, that's crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah. Man, oh man, oh man.
I'm telling you, man, this is exactly what's happening to you guys, right? But instead of you being in servitude to the crown, you're in servitude to the Constitution.
Right.
Right now, the Constitution of America is a great thing. I'm not disputing that. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. The Constitution of America is a great thing.
Yeah.
Right. But when you say that you're a citizen, you strip yourself of rights because you've designated yourself to a certain role that you're playing in society. And now, because society works under law and authority, right, then that's how they're going to treat you. So when you say that you're playing the designation of a human being, then law has to recognize that. And they have to oblige to that because they have an obligation to it because they're a signatory. And if they don't exercise, they don't allow you to exercise that fundamental freedom that you're exercising, then that country, Canada or the United States or any other Commonwealth country, would be then in default of their constitution and the covenants or the declarations to which they're a signatory of.
Wow.
Right, and that's kind of frowned upon, right? Because Canada
Sure.
goes around on the international stage preaching human rights, right? So if somebody asks for human rights here in Canada as a human designation, they would have to, they're obliged to that, they're obligated to it. And same thing with the United States. But, in order for, this type of movement to really take effect, what needs to happen is that people need to, first of all, understand the designation that they're given, and then second, come out with their true designation of a human being and demand from the government to be treated as human beings.
As a human being, yeah.
Then things will change.
Well, the
right?
thing is,
Because
you're gonna have to somehow get people to go along with that, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
And
Clarence, man, there's, there are sheeps,
well, yeah, absolutely.
then there's
Yeah,
sheeples, and unfortunately, from my experience, what I've seen so far is that, you can give people, knowledge, but for them to actually use it is a totally different thing.
hmm,
Like one of the reasons why I was going to make a video of this earlier on in the week, and and I decided not to because I wanted to talk to you about this. And as I said earlier, it's always an intelligent exchange of thought, and I like the people that you have watching,
sure,
right? Because then they're in the same mindset as we are. They're awoke, they're listening, and
right.
when they find knowledge, they apply it to their lives.
Hmm.
But that's a very, very, very small percentage of the population out there. Like if I was to go out on the street to my local Tim Hortons and start telling people that because they're a citizen, they're a slave, they wouldn't believe me. They would laugh at me.
Right,
And even if I tried to give them the information that I gave you, even the 58 pages, and then the other 100 that I have that I didn't send you, even if I pulled that out and gave it to them, even then, and they'd be like, no, I'm a Canadian citizen, right? Because it's ingrained in them.
right.
Right?
Wow.
The slavery and the bondage is ingrained in them, and they don't want to believe that they're humans because, first of all, they believe in this white bearded man up in the sky, and second, they believe that the government means well for them, and they also believe that they're free. Right. So as long as they believe that they're free, they're not going to want any change. They have to first accept the
Right.
fact that they're in bondage. Right. Once they figure out they're in bondage, then things might change, right? But otherwise, it's going to remain, Clarence. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Well,
You
and
can
it's
give a man a
funny.
fish or a fishing rod.
Yeah, and it's funny because we complain about our lives here in the U.S. And right now with all this political shit that's going on here, between the Democrats and the Republicans, and uh, honestly, one side, the real hard left, hates Trump with a passion, no doubt about it, or anybody that likes him. You know, I mean, there's people that literally. We just had a guy down in Florida drive a van
Yeah,
through
I heard about that.
through their freaking tent outside in the parking lot that were giving out pamphlets and stuff, and signing up voters. Unbelievable, you know.
Didn't somebody crash into Trump's house in Florida too?
Well, it wasn't his house, but they were at the motel there,
Oh yeah.
where they had the golf thing or whatever. And yeah, this lady tried to go through the barricades and went around them, and yeah, they shot at her and all kind of crazy stuff. But
Donald Trump is he's a pretty crude guy, but
well,
that's exactly what states needs, right?
yeah,
And to me, this whole impeachment thing, I think what it was is that Donald Trump talked about draining the swamp, and then when
that's
he started
exactly
draining the
right.
swamp,
Yeah,
the swamp didn't like it, so they fought back,
yeah, exactly
and
right.
and that's all this was,
Yep,
and
it's still going.
it's
Yeah.
just going to carry on. To me, I hope Trump does good. He seems to be doing good for the states.
Well,
Seems to be, but who knows, man?
Yeah,
All I know is that I'm not in service to him. Neither are you,
no,
and
yeah,
and we're free human beings, and we can exercise that right to be a human being.
yeah,
In order for this disclosure, Clarence, this is like disclosure.
hmm,
And disclosure is going to come down in like little trickles. When it rains, it starts with trickles, right? So, disclosure is going to come down in forms of trickles and streams like this.
yeah,
You're not going to hear it on the fake stream media. You're not going to hear it from some dude that's wearing a costume, a badge, and a gun.
right, right,
So you're not going to hear it from no tyrant. It's going to come in slow forms, and it's going to come in trickles, and it's up to the people to piece all the knowledge together and try to listen to what people are saying,
hmm,
and don't take it to heart. Go out there and research it and investigate it. Like I have.
sure,
And do it yourself, and then add more knowledge to the pool so that everyone else around you becomes even more enlightened and says, "Oh, I didn't know that. Good thing I know that, because next time I'm put in a position." Constitution, I'll be able to exercise that. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example, Clarence, of the tyranny of the system. A perfect example for the states. How they force you to have a driver's license to drive, right?
Yeah.
So, if you look up the definition of a driver, a definition is that someone who is engaged in commerce on public ways or on the highway, right? So, for instance, like a cab driver, right, or an Uber driver, or somebody delivering, delivery truck driver, delivering pizza, right? That's a driver.
Yeah.
Right now, they require a driver's license because they're engaged in the acts of commerce on public ways.
Right.
But your right in your Constitution, I forgot which number it is, but you have the right to travel, right? So because you're traveling, you're not driving. So you don't actually require a driver's license because you have the right to freely travel and to move your property wherever you want.
Right.
So if the vehicle in which you're operating and you're not engaged in any form of commerce on the freeway, you don't need a driver's license because you're traveling from one place to another, and that's your God-given right, and it's in your Constitution. I forgot which one it is, but you have the right to travel. So when a cop pulls you over and says, "Can I see your driver's license?" you say, "Well, I'm not a driver. I'm not driving. I'm traveling." Right. And if the cop says, "Oh, what do you mean?" Say, "Well, I'm exercising my right, your freedom of rights." So quote them which article it is, and say, "Well, I'm exercising this right to travel and to move my property from point A to point B. So I don't require, a license, a driver's license, nor do I require registration or insurance because that's your private property, and you're moving it from one place to another. And the cop will not give you a ticket because he knows that, right? The sheriff or the deputy, he knows that, and then he'll say, "Okay, move on," and that's it, man. And that's the perfect example of the bondage which the system has created to have us in servitude to it. And they dress up these people in costumes, they give them badges and guns, and make them think that they have authority, and they're out there, exercising their authority on persons and citizens. Because remember, persons and citizens are not living people, and they're exercising this authority, stealing from you and extorting you for your money, because saying, "Oh, well, you're traveling or you're driving at 60 miles per hour when it says 50, so you owe us $100, right? Well, first of all, you're not driving, you're traveling, and you don't owe them anything, so they can't extort anything out of you. They're tyrants, and the entire system is based like that. So people really need to start learning their Constitution because it's by design. They didn't teach you this stuff in school, because if they taught you this stuff in school, you'd be educated. And then if you're educated, then your ignorance is lifted, and then you'll know what your rights are, where you stand with these tyrants, and they won't be able to push you around like that, right? They won't be able to say, "Okay, well, give me your gun," right? Well, no, it's your God-given right to have that gun, right? So who are they to come along and say, "Well, give me your gun"? Or who are they to come up and start asking you for ID, right? That's like, me coming up to you on the street and saying, "Hey, show me your ID." Right? Just because this person's wearing a costume, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have authority over us. It means that that they're tyrants, and that they need to understand what the laws are that they're trying to push around. And if the copper starts harassing you, tell them, "Hey, get your supervisor out here.
Yeah.
I'm traveling. I'm not driving. I'm fucking traveling. Leave me alone, or I'm going to sue you." And it's a fact, Clint. You can look it up, man.
Oh no, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but that's the problem. But see, the problem
is just a small percentage of the bondage that they have us in.
Sure, but here's the problem we have here in the United States with that. Okay, now you talk about constitutional rights, all right, like the law, the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. Okay, but okay, here's another good one. Prime example is people that grow marijuana. Okay, certain state legislation says yes, you have the right to grow X amount of crops, blah, blah, blah. You have the right to smoke, whatever, da, 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 da. But the federal side says no. It's still considered a class 1 or whatever class they put it under, deal. So here you have the main government, right? The federal government. Then it trickles down to the state legislation. Then that trickles down to the county legislation, which trickles down into the city or the township legislation. You see what I'm saying?
So it trickles down all the way down to the civic government.
Yeah, but by the time it gets all the way down, I mean, you got to fight an uphill battle of 10 or so jurisdictions, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's never ending. It's just crazy.
Well, in order for there to be a crime, there has to be a victim. So if you're growing pot, there's no victim, right? So it's not a crime. They might charge you, and you go to court and you go through all that hassle. But in order for it to be a crime, there has to be a victim. You can't have a victimless crime, right? So if you're growing pot in your basement or you're growing pot in your trailer,
right,
and there's no victim, right? It's not a crime. Right, and that's part of the law, man. I'm beginning to understand that these people play off the law, and what we need to do is play off the law too. Use their own words against them.
Mm-hmm. But see, and that's what I'm saying. See, because one state law will say, okay, you have the right. It's legal to grow it. Okay.
But who are they given that right to?
Well, and that's just it, okay?
Are they given that right to a citizen? Are they given that right to a person? Or are they given that right to a human?
Right, yeah, exactly. Is it human right
so
or
it depends
right?
on if they say a person has the right to grow marijuana in his basement, then we have to, accept that person is playing the designation of a person and is limited to certain rights. So they can charge you because you're limited in your rights. And if they say a citizen is allowed to grow it, then again, you're in bondage and they'll charge you. But if it's a human right, then they can't charge you because there has to be a victim.
Yeah. But here's the key to this. No matter what state you go to, no matter what state tells you it's legal, by law, federally, it's still illegal. So you got both sides of the fence.
That's bizarre, right?
So it's nationally wide still illegal, regardless whether the state says so or not. You know what I'm saying? So you're taking it into your own risk, basically. It's crazy.
You're fighting the Gestapo, man.
Well, you are, and it's crazy. The state fights the federal legislation, and the federal says no. So that's how it works. Even though they haven't, they kind of turned their backs on it, and they haven't said much about it. Like with California and different other places, and they haven't really busted too many people over it. But if they want to, anytime they can drop in and say done. Yeah, exactly.
Anytime. Local authorities won't, but the federal can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a felony, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Class A. Yeah.
That's bizarre, man.
Absolutely.
We're legal here from coast to coast. We got pot stores popping up all over the place.
No kidding. Wow.
I just had one open up like 2 blocks from my place here.
Wow.
I got what is it? I've got like 3 or 4 pot stores, and I'd say within 10 blocks from my house.
No kidding.
Yeah, same amount of liquor stores too.
Well, that's easy peasy. Yeah.
Get high and get stoned.
Get drunk and get high.
Get drunk and stay out of the way and don't ask no questions.
Exactly.
Too drunk to do research and too stoned to understand it.
That's right. Yeah. But so relaxed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Too funny.
Oh, crazy, my friend. Well, thanks for having me on your show, buddy. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to get this out there.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you, actually, I still got that. I just read all the documents I got. I'm going to see if I can't get them somehow in PDF form and post them in my Closer Encounters page or something, or, I'm not sure how I can set that up like that, but
I think one document that I sent you is the PDF,
Is
the one that's 48 pages.
okay? I thought that
I
was like a
believe
website thing. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it is a PDF document, and the other one, for some reason, my computer wouldn't convert it to PDF, so I just gave you a shareable link.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
It's kind of like my Saturn, right? In fact, it took time off of my Saturn. I've been working on Saturn now for close to a year,
Yeah. Long
and
time.
I'm pretty close to being done. But then one day I came across a video, and I started watching it, and really opened up my eyes, because this guy was talking about difference between a person, human, and a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, whoa. And then I put Saturn on hold, and then I went and opened up the books and began
Yeah.
reading
I know how that goes.
the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and then from there it took me to the covenants, and then I went and read the Declaration of Human Rights, and and then I took like all the notes that I found that were relevant. Like I said, I only sent you, maybe 40% of what I got. So
Wow.
when I've got the rest of it down, I'll send you those as well.
Cool.
This is the information, like I said, that people really need to come to grips with.
Right.
If they want to be treated as a human being, then they need to designate themselves as human beings. Because, like I said, man, the minute you say I'm a proud American citizen or I'm a proud Canadian citizen,
It's over with.
you've automatically put yourself into bondage and into slavery, because you're acknowledging the fact that you're a slave of the Queen or of the Constitution, or whatever the case may be,
Right.
when you say that, I'm a person, you're acknowledging that you're an artificial person. There's a reason why the doctors didn't give your parents the live birth documents and only the registration forms,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want you having documents that say that you're a living, breathing human being.
Right.
And then they confound us with this, education meat factory that they have, and they ring us through there, and then they teach us and they fill our minds with a whole bunch of garbage, and then leave the important stuff out, like teaching children about their Constitution and their rights. And when they grow up, they don't even know what they are, and they think that they're a citizen, and they think that they're a slave. So no wonder these people are running around
Yeah, they're confused.
saying that Anunnaki created them. No wonder they're
Right.
saying that they evolved from a monkey.
Yeah.
No wonder they're saying that a chimpanzee is their great cousin, because that's what they've been made to believe, and that's
Sure.
what they think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that needs to change. In order for us to move forward as a society and as a species, we first have to understand the designations that I call it the archonic force, that has given it to us. Because when this archonic force, as I was saying earlier with the moon and stuff, the Watchers, for instance, there was the 50 Watchers, and Semyaza was their leader, and with his friends, they came down, and they gave humanity civilization. Right, gave us laws and education and things like that in just really recent memory, and the institutions that that they've helped create are the very institutions to which we are in servitude to. We're
Right.
in bondage to those institutions. The education system that they've created, we're in servitude and in bondage to it, because we go to school, we have to pay tuition. That tuition will run us like $100,000. So once you get out of university, you're going to work for fucking 20 years paying off those student loans and
Yeah.
the interest.
Ain't that the
Right,
truth?
so you're in bondage to it. You're in servitude to it. They've created all these political parties for us to be in servitude to. They've created all these sports teams that we give our allegiances to. Oh, that's my Boston Bruins is my team. Oh, really? Do they pay you?
Right.
Okay, well then they're not your team then, right? You're in servitude to them. You're in bondage to them. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to shed these chains, these mental chains that we have of, being a slave and being
Mm-hmm.
an offspring of some orangutan.
Yeah.
And we need to stop that because we're a great being. We're capable of a lot. A lot has been stolen from us. I was just mentioning earlier with the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
I go deep into the subject in my book Earth Frequency, right? I'm just giving you kind of the small highlights here and there, right?
Right.
As I said, we've lost a great deal. And it's going to take a long time for us to get that back. But it's this archonic force that's doing this to us. So if we come to realize, when people say, you live in the matrix, they're not saying that you live in a computer simulation, that you're living in a matrix. What they're meaning is that, this reality that we're interacting with as an energy has been hijacked and it's been manipulated. And the manipulation is that earlier I was saying our women, their eggs were manipulated genetically so that when babies are born, their reptilian brain is a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. And then you have a society that is, energized on this reptilian brain, and all they want to do is just fight, hoard. And that's exactly what we've seen in our recent written history.
Sure.
Right? All this conquering that's been going on. Egyptians conquering this, and the Ottoman Empire conquering this, and Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great. I don't know why he's so great, because that guy's killed millions of people.
Right.
Right. So, we're a civilization that looks at a person that's killed millions of people as great. How come we don't say Hitler the Great? The guy has the same amount of blood on his hand, but, again, it's a perception, right? So this perception has been created for us through these institutions and the moon and education system and the economic system and the political system, and we're in bondage to it. And we need to break free from that. We need to understand what it is first. Mm-hmm. And then once we understand it, then our ignorance is lifted, and then we can combat it.
All right. Cool. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's it, my man. And until the next time. I guess the next time is going to be when I do my Saturn presentation.
Yes.
I'm not sure when that's going to be now, because I'm heading out of town on Monday for a couple of months for work. My job was supposed to start here like a week ago, right? But the hospital that I'm going to be working at got delayed because we had this massive cold freeze.
Yeah.
About a month ago, it dropped down to like minus 35, minus 40. And the work on the hospital came to a stop. So it delayed it by a couple of months, right? So I got to go to the next town over. It's about an hour and a half drive.
Wow.
Right? So I got 2 hours about that. So I got to drive. It's in the other valley, the adjoining valley. I live in one valley, right? Kamloops. And then the next valley over to me is the Okanagan Valley, and in Kelowna. So I got to go there, and I'm going to work Monday through Friday, and then Friday afternoons I'm going to take off, come home for the weekend, and then take off Monday morning, and go back to work, and then do that for the next couple of months. Got to pay the bills, right?
Absolutely.
I can't have my citizen. I can't have my citizen family being thrown out onto the streets, right?
Exactly right. That's funny.
If it was a human family, they might have some mercy.
Yeah.
But, a citizen family or a person's family, I don't think they're going to show any mercy to that. So
good luck with that.
I'm going to get my ass to work and put that board on and make my family some money.
Exactly.
Plus, my wife's in school right now, right? She's attending a healthcare program.
Cool.
So that goes on until June. So there's only like single income coming into the house, right?
Wow.
So things are a little bit tight right now, and so I got to do as much as I can to carry my family until my wife starts working. Then then I can take it easy a little bit, but I doubt that's going to happen though, right? Because once this hospital starts, it's going to be like 9-hour days, 10-hour days for like the next 4 years. So,
man,
it's all right. It's money.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe it'll help me fund, Zoom. I really liked Zoom, Clarence. Zoom was great.
And that's funny because I've been using OBS and stuff, and they all pretty much do the same thing. But the problem is like I was saying tonight at the beginning of the show, everything around me is just crashing. They have this internet conglomerate so screwed up right now. And it's just, everything that worked fine a year ago doesn't work fine anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's because they are just monkeying and monkeying and monkeying. They got things so messed up. I dropped down. I had like 50 uh, download speed when I first fired up this internet back a couple of years ago, and I never ever ever had a problem with my internet. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But I was getting dropped. The Wi-Fi would go down, or blah blah blah, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And here we thought it was the powers to be would come in and cut us off, which a lot of times they would. But it's not only them, but the internet's against us, and it's like,
Yeah,
geez.
they own the internet though.
Well, yeah, and that's just it.
They're like, drop his signal.
Yeah.
All they have to do is just press one button, and they got your IP address, right?
Well, it's like I just found out
they
now.
Just shut your internet off.
I just found out. No, but you're not kidding, and it's about the
Yeah,
truth.
man, I know.
Because I just found out that Yahoo is owned by Google, and I didn't know this. Okay, and I thought they were a separate entity altogether, but no, they're not. And so every device I have, I swear to God, has Google on it, one way or the other. So they're constantly listening in on me, no matter where I go, no matter what I do. You know what I'm saying? It's just wow.
There's that Google Home too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I haven't activated any of that stuff on my phone. Hey Google, find me this, or hey Google, find me that. Right? I don't want to activate it because then it's just going to start listening to me, right?
It does. Absolutely does.
And I don't want that. They already know enough. They already listen enough, right? Because all these conversations are recorded.
Well, of course they are. Absolutely.
Right? So,
yeah,
we can only do what we can do, man. And, the only thing that, I really enjoyed about Zoom was that I sent you a connection. I sent you a link. You clicked it. You were on the screen.
Yep.
And I could just go up there and go Facebook or YouTube, and and off I went.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking, maybe in the next couple of months I might subscribe back to Zoom.
Well,
and,
I would.
and then just write it off as like a hobby. A hobby bill, right? And at least get some stable streams, right? And I get that, and I can hook you up with a link, right? And you can use it, I can use it.
Cool.
So that way, we can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Fuck, give it to Leo too. Leo can use it too.
Absolutely. Sure.
Give it to everybody. And I've taken a break from doing talks, right? And this is my first show actually since I think the last time we talked. I don't know when that was. That was a few months ago.
Yeah, I think so. Gosh, I can't remember now. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that was a few months.
I really don't remember. Yeah. I haven't. I haven't done an actual
or something last year.
Yeah, I haven't actually done a Spreaker broadcast in quite a while now. It's been 3 or 4 months since the last time I actually did a radio show.
Yeah.
So I got all these downloads of radios and videos, and I got things on Facebook. I got things on YouTube. I still got things on Blog Talk Radio. Can you believe that?
No shit, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy. I got stuff everywhere. I'm all over the damn place.
What do you think about this coronavirus?
Oh man, I tell you what, it's just another one of them deals. Well, we were talking about, like you said earlier, how the human race, we had smallpox, chicken pox, measles, that wiped out people. I mean, it's just, and it's always a virus, some type of a bacteria or a viral deal that catches up with us. It never fails. Polio, AIDS, one form or another, there's always something out there. So, yeah, that's crazy. But
I'm just hoping it doesn't, go globally insane, kind of like what SARS did. I've always had like 20 years ago with SARS.
Yeah.
Right. So, what I'm really impressed by is that China built 2 hospitals in a week.
Right.
That's really impressive.
It is impressive.
Right. Like holy shit, man! Like you build a hospital in a week.
Yeah, it
right?
didn't take them long. That's for
Just think
sure.
of what we're capable of, as human beings. Look at that, right? We can come together
Yep.
in a time of crisis, and we can achieve anything.
Well, how many
right?
millions of people they have
remember
there?
that movie with Jodie Foster, where they built that spaceship. It never left the Earth, but
Contact.
She did.
Yeah, Contact.
Which one was it?
Contact.
Contact. Yeah.
Yep.
Like that, man. Like, we're capable of doing things like that, right? So we can accomplish anything. Like I see his comment here, China is bad. They're all dying because of unsanitary conditions and poor hygienes by those people.
Yeah,
I gotta agree. I can't say China is bad.
Yep.
That's like one bad apple ruins the whole tree. No, there's a lot of brilliance in China.
Yeah.
It's just I agree with the hygiene part, right? Like you got all these live animals and in markets, and of course shit's gonna happen because
Sure.
they're shitting and pissing everywhere. They're exchanging spit and their blood and guts, and
Yeah.
of course something's going to happen. So it's China's responsibility to like really step up to the game and like clean up those markets, right? Bring it up to spec with
Right.
animal rights
Yep.
and human rights as well, right? But we know how China is with human rights, right? But
Exactly. Yeah.
we know how the whole world is with human rights, not just China.
Not just China. Yeah.
As far as the world is concerned, we're all citizens and humans because they're always calling us citizens.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Oh, the citizens are on the move. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
That's really opened up my eyes, Clarence. I can't let go of that. I just think about that. Next time I get an application form where it says citizen, I'm not even going to check that off. I'm just going to make a side note of it. I'm going to say I am Omar, that was born on a territory designated Canada.
Right, there you go.
Right, human, designation human.
Yep.
And everything I can get from now on, that's what I'm going to do.
I'm a living being. Yeah.
Because they can't force me to associate, right, with their political parties or anything like that. So every time they come at me, I'm going to say I'm human. Right? Get away from me, man. You're a citizen. I'm a human. There's a difference between us. You're inferior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get away.
It's a citizen. Get away. It's here to take my rights away.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Crazy.
Right on, buddy. Right. So,
cool.
like I said, I got my Saturn coming up, and probably in the next couple of weeks, hopefully,
good.
I can find a Sunday to do that on. That's an epic presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I'm like almost 400 images in. It's going to be a very visual presentation, and I'm going to talk along with it. I'm going to try to connect the dots. And, hopefully I can include a little bit of this Constitution stuff in there. And, hopefully try to connect the dots and make sense of it, really.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I can share that with you.
Cool.
And that's it, my brother.
Absolutely.
My human brother.
Yeah, my human brother. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, my human brother. Not a citizen brother or person brother, my human brother.
Human brother. Yes, absolutely. Cool. Well,
thanks for having me on, and thanks for everybody watching. That was really appreciated. You're welcome, Gail. Thanks for sticking around and listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Good deal. They all love you, man.
Yeah, much love and respect back to you, brother.
There you go.
I really respect our friendship that we have.
Absolutely, me too. It's hard to find people like us. You know what I'm saying? And the people that follow us, and the people that are watching us, and they hang in there with us. It's just a blessing. It really is, and I love them.
Yeah, same here. They're the same as us.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? We just talk about it, and sometimes they talk about it, and sometimes they don't, and that's their human right.
Yep.
Right. But we're all the same, cut from the same cloth.
Pretty much, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we're all cut from the same cloth, and we have to remember we're humans, and we should always work in a spirit of brotherhood, sisterhood.
Yep.
And look out for one another.
Exactly right.
Because we know that these elected officials, they're definitely not going to.
No.
They don't have our interest in mind because, like I said, they don't think that we're humans, right? So we really have to, highlight that and emphasize that fact to these people, these costume wearing individuals.
Exactly. Too funny. Oh wow. Alrighty. Well, I guess. What time is it? Oh my gosh, it's almost 8:30. Yeah, been on there a couple hours. Cool.
Oh yeah, wow.
Time flies. Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
My
that's
wife
cool.
walked in the door from school about an hour ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, so she's probably wondering. She knows I was doing this talk with you today. I told her this morning.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So Clarence and I were finally going to connect.
Yay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, awesome. And it's funny. I've been trying to, I was hoping I could hook up with other people also. I've been looking around trying to find other folks, minded like us and that. And, you run across a few people here and there, but their agendas are all just, some of them are just out there, and I don't even want to bother with them, and then there's a couple that I find that I think are really cool, but I hate to bother them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. So,
one person I'd look into, Clarence, is Kenneth Sutton. He knows a lot about the Anunnaki and the old Babylonian history.
Cool.
African history, Egyptian history. He's quite versed in it. I had him on my show a couple times now, several times.
Cool.
He's a great guy, great human being.
Awesome.
Reach out to him. He's one of the administrators at the group, The Learned Ones.
Oh, okay.
Kenneth Sutton. So, reach out to him.
Yeah.
Daniel Wilkerson is another guy, very intelligent, very smart. He's the founder of The Learned Ones. I had him on once, but he's very busy, right? So,
Sure.
He's got grandkids and full-time job and new house that he just bought.
Right.
He may be up to doing a show. But Kenneth Sutton, I definitely look him up. It's totally worth listening to. In fact, I got a couple of shows of him, and sometimes I put it on in the background and listen to him, what he has to say. And I always walk away with a new note here and a new note there. And I was like, wow, I didn't catch that. I should have questioned him on it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. I'll do that. Awesome. All righty.
Okay, right on, brother. You have yourself a great night.
Yes, you too. Thank you very much for coming on. And like I said, we'll get all this together here, and I want to keep this thing going as much as I can. And I don't know. I quit doing Facebook Live because they were shutting me down for no reason. That last time, I was trying to show a documentary, and they just clicked it right off. And I tried like 4 different times to show it, and it was ridiculous. So I just got pissed off enough. I said, you know what? You don't need me. I'll go to YouTube. So, that's what I did.
I stopped streaming. Yeah, I stopped streaming on Facebook like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
They seriously shadow banned me.
Yeah.
They censored me. They deleted my page. Watchers Talk.
Wow.
I had like 25,000 followers on that page, and gone. When I was streaming on there, it was just constantly they were dropping my FTP rates. You say a trigger word here, a trigger word there. Suddenly the stream would start lagging, and it just really gave my stream an unprofessional
look,
appearance, right?
Sure.
So I was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm gonna go to YouTube and see how YouTube does. And so far YouTube hasn't censored me. There's some videos they say they won't monetize, right? Because it's sensitive subjects, right? Like when I'm telling people that they're not slaves, advertisers don't want to advertise that, right? So they won't monetize some of my videos, but I really don't care.
Right.
Whether they monetize it or not. Right. I was just hoping that I can make enough money off it so I can pay for Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so now you got to have
so it wouldn't cost me any money.
Yeah. Well, now you got to have
I guess I got to fork over a little bit to have a hobby, right?
Yeah. Now you got to
so far
have.
It seems to be okay.
You got to have 1,000 subscribers now in order to monetize. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could have 1,000 subscribers, but I think it's like 4,000 hours you need to have watched. right?
I
So
don't know. I
you know,
don't
if
know.
you've got 4,000 hours watched with 1,000 subscribers, they still won't monetize your shit.
Yeah, he does something. Yeah, and I'm not, I
Yeah,
don't do it for the money anyway. I mean, that's I've always said that. So that's just the way that is. But because they kept hounding me. Well, it's like Facebook now. They want me to boost my post every time I turn around when I make a new
yeah,
posting about something. Well, you reached 2,000 people, but you can boost your post and reach 5,000 more for only $10. And it's like, you're freaking Facebook. Why should I pay you to run my post? It just
yeah.
doesn't make sense. It's
And
ridiculous. So are you blocking my post now because I'm not willing to pay you? Is that what you're doing? You know?
that's
It-
exactly what they're doing.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
So,
off your page, you'll notice, off your Closer Encounters page,
mhm,
you'll notice that when your page first started, you had lots of views.
yeah,
And as your page gets older and older and older, and you don't boost those posts, you get less and less and less people seeing your post because they're not
absolutely.
putting it in timelines or
Yep.
news feeds or
No,
anything like that. So they begin censoring you because you're not paying for it.
right. Yep. Yeah. Thank
They're real
God.
fuckers like that.
Yeah. Thank God we got these other groups that we can post into, so people see it that way,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
hate Facebook, man. I tell you, but it's
it's
just too bad.
ridiculous.
Facebook is
Yeah.
so brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, it's just so brilliant, but on the other hand, I hate the platform, and on the other hand, it's a love and hate relationship, right? Well,
Right.
like and hate. I don't love it. I just kind of like it,
Right.
right? Because it's just easy to really put information like on your own profile, right?
Hmm.
Instead of like having pages and stuff,
Right.
right? Because I notice having a page is kind of just a waste of time because they don't put it anywhere. But if you put it on your profile, then all your friends see it, right? Then they share
Right.
it, and then it seems to be a bigger reach like that,
Yeah.
right? So that's the only reason why I like it.
Well, I think
You
my
know,
next step is I'm going to make an actual site. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And hopefully, I mean, if I do it right, I should be able to stream right off the same site. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but
Uh,
it's going to cost you a lot of money,
yeah, yeah, that's the problem. See,
right?
it's
I
always
looked
the
into
money.
that when I had my watcherstalk.com.
Yeah.
I was going to stream on my site,
Hmm.
right? But then I realized that to stream on my site, I was going to pay like hundreds and hundreds of dollars for every single stream, and then to have that stream stored, right? And then and then I had to pay for storage with my hosting company, and then that storage started to climb,
Mm.
because due to the videos, right? You add each video, and that each video is going to cost you like $30-40 a month,
Wow.
just to host with your host, right? And then
Yeah.
to stream, right? So at the end, economically, it didn't make any sense, right? So that's why I just put the videos on YouTube and just
Hmm.
kind of put a link on the website. You have to have like a huge funding to be able to do something like that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Well,
not worth it.
well, we'll figure it out one way or the other. But
The only
yeah,
way
I
I find
just,
to do it is for people to like your video
yeah.
and to share your video, because that it raises you in the algorithm,
Hmm.
YouTube's algorithm. And because they see people are liking it, and then they'll show it to other people. They see people are sharing it, then they'll put it, recommended videos kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And that's really the only way, word of mouth, right? Otherwise, it's they're not going to do it. People have to like it. They have to share it, even if
Sure.
they don't like it. Just
Yeah.
give it that thumbs up anyhow,
Right.
because it helps the YouTuber, right? It helps raise the video in the algorithms, right? Make a comment on it,
Sure.
even if it's a yes or a no,
Yeah.
right? The algorithm sees that this video is being engaged with, right? And then it shows more, and that's the way to do it. Everybody needs to band together, like I said, work in the spirit of brotherhood, and like word of mouth, just pass it around, and people will come. They'll start liking. Next thing you know, you've got 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
People are watching, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping someday, like I said, we can get a whole group of us together and do like one giant YouTube channel. Just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
I'm trying to do
and
something like that
you
already,
know,
Clarence.
and
I've
just
got independent research
yeah,
on my Watchers TV,
cool.
which is my YouTube channel here on YouTube. It's called Watchers Talk.
Yeah.
If you just follow the link, on my name there, it'll just go Watchers Talk, and it'll take you there.
Okay.
And Where was I going with this?
About the big conglomerate. We want to get
Oh yeah,
everybody
yeah, yeah.
together. One big channel.
I've got Independent Research Society on there. He's got like Jeffrey. He's got like 33, 35 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to start working with Jillian Hendricks.
Cool.
That she was going to have a show that she was going to do herself once a week or a couple times a week. Then I had to go back to work, and I started working and really haven't hammered out the details.
Right.
But if you want to join that network,
yeah,
right, then I can give you all the information, right, and then and then you can just the what are those like those links that they give you to go live?
Yeah.
Right. I can give that information. I can give you access to the channel, and then you can go and stream anytime you like on that channel. Like, I'm already kind of in the works of it, but
cool.
If you want to build something, I'll join that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Honest.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, because we got to get people going. We got to get people up and get them going, and I think these old timers, like I said, the Dolans and the Nick Popes and the Wilcoxes and the rest of them, their time
Nick
is
Pope's
over.
a liar, though.
Yeah, and they are,
Right.
and their time is over. They're too
Yeah.
commercialized anymore. It's ridiculous, It's
Yeah.
just totally ridiculous.
Nick Pope's a bullshitter.
Well,
Right,
I knew that. Yeah.
The guy worked
Yeah.
for the Ministry of Defense. Go
Right.
imagine that. He worked for the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. The government's the enemy, so he
Yeah.
works for the enemy for like 20 some years.
Yeah.
Right. Fucking studying UFOs, and
Yeah.
then it gets into this UFO field that we all participate in,
Yeah.
and then comes in with a whole pile of knowledge, and then he tells you, oh well, I can't talk to you about it because I
Exactly.
signed a-
Yeah. It's either
agreement.
secret stuff that he can't divulge
It's like,
in.
oh, what the fuck are you doing here, bro?
Yeah,
It's
because
like, what are you doing here?
exactly.
Get out of here. You're a government.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And he
Who's
will never
infiltrated
say.
the UFO network, and you're feeding your lies.
Yep.
And then you got, then you
Exactly.
got a guy like, John D'Souza,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You have an FBI agent. That's
What a joke.
part of the enemy's camp,
Yep.
right? He's a fucking henchman for the government. We got FBI agents and we have government officials in this, UFO movement. So no wonder there's like a whole pile of bullshit going around.
That's what
because
I'm
these
saying.
Guys are like
Yes.
out there passing, misinformation and
Sad.
there's people out there canonizing these guys.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that this guy's a fucking FBI agent.
Yeah.
How do you know he's not right now
Writing your
on
name
assignment?
down. Yeah. Writing your
Yeah,
name
how do you
down.
know he's not on assignment? Like, look at what was his name? Donnie Brasco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donnie Brasco went on for years.
Yes, he did. Long
Donnie
time.
Brasco went on for years. So how do we know that this
Yep.
insane shit going on with this guy?
Exactly.
I can't believe everything that these people say.
Yep.
The only legitimate people I think that are out there, and I even have my doubts on that, is guys like Jim Peniston,
Mm.
from the Rendlesham Forest. But that incident happened so long ago,
Well,
and
yeah.
all these books that are being written,
Yeah.
at some point or another, these guys are being offered money and they're selling.
Sure they
out.
are. Yeah.
So they're not telling you like everything. They're really basically sensationalizing their story.
Yep.
So that you'll buy their books, or
Yeah.
you'll go and see them in Desert Con or UFO Con, or
Yep.
you'll pay the fees to watch them bullshit you a little bit. That's some
Right.
talk that they're giving. Right. So we really need to
Yeah.
understand who we're listening to. If you
Exactly.
got like government officials, like I said, man, if you got government officials and FBI agents, to me, they're not a very reliable source of people,
Right.
right? Because they're part of the people that see us as persons and citizens, and they are the ones who are actively oppressing us,
Right.
right? Remember, it's that same FBI agent that comes up to you with a gun if you don't do what he
Yeah,
says,
that's the truth. Too.
right? So, I wouldn't be too excited of getting information from somebody like that, right? Because obviously he doesn't have your best interest in mind,
Ain't that the truth?
right? And we don't know what John D'Souza's goals are either, right?
No.
What his intentions are. And like I said, Donnie Brasco is a great example. He was undercover for years.
Long time.
So how do we know this guy isn't undercover either, right?
Exactly.
I got no beef with John D'Souza. I don't care.
Yeah.
But but on the other hand, I have to be cautious as well, right, of his background and saying, okay, well, this guy was a pig for 30 years. We don't like cops, right?
Yeah.
None of us like cops,
no.
Right? So why is all of a sudden this one cop all of a sudden like really
breaks out? Yeah.
Yeah, like I can see Michael Feely, right? Michael Feely was a
he was
police officer, right? But the guy has legitimate information. He's retired. He has nothing to do
and
with
he's
it.
And he's bringing it. He's bringing it, man.
Exactly.
I love talking to Michael.
Man. The guy, the knowledge that he's put
absolutely,
is just sick.
It is sick. Yeah, I'm telling you, good guy though, man. He knows his stuff. Yeah, I'm in
talks to have him come on the show here, probably in the next month or so.
Awesome.
He's coming to America to do a couple of talks.
Good.
His first time in the United States. So pretty excited about that. So that's good stuff. And then once he goes back to England, then gonna bring him on and probably do another 2-3 hour talk with him. You can do that talk with me, Clarence, if you want.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, like we did with Steve Meads.
Yeah, Steve Meads, yeah, and Michael both, yeah.
Yeah, that was great shows, those ones.
Really they were. Yeah, Steve's another one there with the caves and stuff, man. That was just awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, Omar, after we talked to him about that and we broke that all out and people learned about it, have you seen how many other people now has jumped in on that ordeal?
Oh, yeah, man. It's a bandwagon.
It's like we were the first. I loved it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Watchers Talk was the first to have him on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Watchers Talk broke Michael Feely loose.
Exactly. Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much. It was cool.
Yeah. Unleashed him onto the world. I seen him one day. I seen his post, right? And I read it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Right? This is amazing. I got to talk to this guy. So I messaged him, right? And I go, hey, sir, how you doing? And he's like, oh, doing pretty good. And we started talking. And it was like a very easy guy to talk to, right? And I was like, well, hey, I've got a show called Watchers Talk. And I was kind of hoping that you'd come on and you talk about it.
All right.
And he's like, yeah, absolutely. No problem. And that was his first radio show ever.
Wow.
And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, then from there, everybody wants him on. So I'm actually pretty proud of that. So now I see Michael Feely like going on all these radio shows and shit, right? It's like,
awesome, huh?
Right on.
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
on, Mike.
Absolutely.
You go, boy.
And if anybody wants to watch that, if anybody wants to watch that, I still have that complete episode on Closer Encounters page back when we were doing them webinars and stuff. So,
yeah, I've got all those videos on my YouTube channel as well. If you just go into the videos, if you go into the videos, you'll see them. I've got about 190, 200 videos or so.
Cool.
So if anyone's interested in
viewing
that,
yes.
They can come and visit my page or my channel.
Give them a thumbs up, a like, subscribe.
Watchers Talk. Here, I'll try to share a link if I can.
Yeah, do that. Throw it right in the page there. If you can put it on there.
Subscribe to my channel. It helps a great deal. I just broke 1,190.
There you go.
Right, so
awesome.
Hoping to hit 1,200 here pretty soon.
Cool.
So I put the link there in the comments. Hopefully it doesn't get blocked.
I don't think it will, not on mine. Normally it doesn't. So
there are two videos, Sharon. There's one that I just recently did with him is called ETs on Our Doorsteps, I believe that one's called. Here, I'm just pulling it up. It's called the Stellar Machine, ETs on Our Doorstep. That talk is 2 hours and 24 minutes. And then I have another one, The Wisdom of the Ages. It's a Michael Feely webinar, 3 hours and 34 minutes, that one.
Yeah.
And then further on down the line, I have him again. It's called Awaken, an Esoteric Lecture. That's about 3 hours long. And then the Anunnaki of Nibiru and the Snake Men of Eridu. with Michael Feely. I got that one. It's about an hour and 13 minutes, that one. I've got a few of his, right? I've got another one, the Michael Feely lecture. I've brought him on, a bunch of times because, the just the knowledge set that he has to give is just incredible.
Yep.
Right? We had him in our spring webinar as well, Clarence.
Yep, that's right. Yep,
right?
sure did.
We had him on there, so that's on there.
Yeah, that's like a 2.5 or 3 hour thing he did that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was, I think that was like 8 hours, Clarence. I think we were like, from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 10 o'clock at night.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pulled off some pretty crazy stuff, my friend. I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We've done some crazy shows. Yeah, we've done some crazy shows. I know we were so damn tired after that one. That was something, man. That one marathon. Wow.
Yeah, that was Equinautical.
Yeah.
That one was a long one.
Yeah, it was a long one.
At like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we had like 8 guests that day.
Yep.
And we went on till I think like 10 o'clock at night, and it would have been longer because I think
we lost
guest, Xavier Hayes, canceled and couldn't make it that night, so it would have turned out to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. Shoo. Man.
Okay, baby. Okay, but buddy, I gotta run.
Absolutely. Okay.
I got my wife asking me if I'm almost done here, so yeah, I'm done here.
Hey, happy Valentine's to you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Give your wife a big kiss and
thank
all.
you for the platform.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Like I said, I could have just run this video by myself on my channel, but it's more interesting when you have an intelligent exchange of positive thought with a human being.
In a good group of people listening. Yes,
absolutely. Exactly. With some great input coming in. So, I really appreciate that. So, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone. And I look forward to the next time.
All righty. Well, thank you so much.
Subscribe to my channel.
Yes.
Go there, like all my videos, raise them on the algorithm.
Yeah. Did you drop a link in there or not?
Yeah, I put up the link up here, but here, maybe I'll send it to you.
Yeah, put it right in the comment section there if you could.
Yeah, I put it there, but when I run my mouse over it, it doesn't.
It doesn't show up? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't turn into a hand, but I sent it to your messenger anyhow.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
So if you want to just grab it, post it on there, that'd be great.
Yep, I could do that. Absolutely. Put it right in the comment section of the video. So
I've got a couple of shows coming up. I've got one with my buddy Stephen Erdman, When a Family is Terrorized. That's going to be a panel talk. I'm trying to figure out when that's going to be.
Cool.
Because again, I got to head out of town here for work now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get Brad Olson on and talk about his Antarctica trip.
Awesome.
Hopefully I can have him on.
Good.
And then of course got a Michael Feely lecture coming up.
Cool.
Definitely come home that weekend for that.
Yes.
I don't want to miss that because the amount of knowledge he has to give is just incredible, right? It just blows my mind. But anyways, thank you very much, and happy Valentine's Day to all the guys and gals out there.
There you go.
And enjoy your evening.
Yes, you too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Clarence. Much love, my human brother.
Yes, much love. Thank you.
Much respect, man. Talk to you next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Omar IAmOne from Watchers Talk. Awesome guy. We've been friends for quite a while now, and we love doing shows together, and he's just full of knowledge. We love bouncing stuff off each other. It's just a lot of fun to be with him, no doubt about it. Speaking of which, I got to get back a hold of Bruce Fenton. I know Bruce wants to come on. I know he's in the middle of a move right now, and he did leave a message here a while back saying that once he's done with the move and that, he'll get back with us, and he definitely wants to come on the show. So here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or whatever, we'll have Bruce Fenton with us, and that's going to be a very interesting talk. The Into Africa story. So this ought to be quite a deal. can't wait to hear from him. So awesome stuff. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to be back here tomorrow night, same time, 6 o'clock. Hopefully things will be a little bit different with the webcam situation. We'll see what happens. I'll work on it tomorrow, and we'll see what we come up with. If not, I'm not going to worry about it right now, how it looks. I mean, it's not going to kill me, but that's how it goes. But anyway, please do us a favor though, and hit the like button if you would, and share it around to your friends. Let people know what we're doing. Like I said, I just got this channel up and running, brand new channel, and I like to get it pushed out there a little bit if we can. So, but in the meantime, everybody, please have a great evening, and I thank you all. Thank you all for being with us, and I hope you enjoyed it. But tomorrow night, we're going to do another documentary, and we'll talk about a few other things. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So be here or be square, 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening. I want to thank you all for listening to Closer Encounters. Please remember to like, follow, and share. And until we meet again, keep your eyes to the skies. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.